All righty. How you doing, Angie? How you doing, Marie?
Hey, how are you?
I'm
Good.
doing good.
Yep, Marie. Thank you for joining us again. I know you were on before, um, but you're going to be our special guest host tonight. And Angie, tell everyone about this episode, and it's the last of the special episodes that you had planned and lined up for us.
This is part 5 of SEB Presents Women in the Field. So I invited my friend Marie Dumont to come on tonight as a guest co host. She's done a lot of research in the field
Mhm.
and she's very active in the Bigfoot community. So I thought it'd be a good chance to catch up with her on some of the things she's got going on and uh, could use her to help interview our next guest, Miss Bea Mills.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's a
So,
pleasure.
so Marie, I know you've been on before,
Mhm.
and since then I keep following you and and your group, the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group,
Right.
and you guys um, are blessed with one a very big state, and good research weather, right? So you don't have to put on snowshoes
Right.
and you know. However, we were just talking a little bit before about snakes and whatnot, and
Right.
you guys are encountering those things already down there, or is that something you guys encounter quite often?
No, I'm actually, I think 2, 3 weeks ago, um, team member Ruby and I went out and we were walking through some palmettos, couldn't see anything, and all of a sudden there was a black snake, a racer, black racer.
Uh-huh.
But of course, whenever you see a snake, you still panic, you jump, you're like, oh my God. But he didn't even move. He was just sunning himself. So I think he was taking a nap.
Oh,
And so then last weekend, we were out in Mike Aguilar's, one of his special areas.
uh-huh.
We were only out there 2 minutes. We just got out of our trucks. We're walking through this dead grass, high grass stuff. And I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I stepped within 1 foot of this rattlesnake, this diamondback. And Mike was next to me and he actually stepped on the rattlesnake.
Oh my God.
So I jumped, he jumped, we're like, oh my God, just freaking out. And the snake is just pissed.
Oh.
His tail is rattling and his head is shaking, which I've never seen that before, but I'm not a rattlesnake guru. And so he just looked terrified. I think Mike actually kind of stepped on his head in the
Oh.
process. So I think the snake was sleeping because there was no warning sign. I took the step and I was like, oh God. And because I was less than a foot away, I was like this far away from him. And I did not
Mm.
have snake boots on that
Oh.
day. And so I jumped, the snake started rattling, and then Mike, I couldn't respond fast enough. And then Mike, I think, kind of stepped on its head. And then it just like, you know, it was definitely pissed off.
Oh.
It woke us up, that's for sure.
Wow.
And it was just, so that's 2 snakes in 2 weeks. That's the most I've ever seen
Yikes.
there.
So, Marie, last time that you were on with us, um, you shared information on the some of the tracks that you had found, like uh, the digits, right?
Yes.
The number of digits, the difference between the north and the south, right?
Yes.
Have you guys come across any more tracks in your areas? And
Yeah, we've found Ruby and I. Let's see. I think it was the time we saw the snake. We found a footprint that was, the path is like going this way, and the print was like right here.
uh-huh.
So it was crossing the path, and
Okay.
so I'm looking at this print, And I look up trying to see where the heck is he going, whatever whatever caused this print. And I look up, there's a fence, a road, and directly across the street are 2 dumpsters.
Oh.
So that makes perfect sense because I believe they're opportunists like bears.
Yeah.
You know,
Makes sense.
why go looking for food when you got dumpsters around? That's the first place they're going to look.
Yeah.
Me, right? They're going to be looking for food, open up the dumpster, dig around in there. And then if they can't find anything, then they go out and do their thing. But I just think they're opportunists. So I think that's where he was headed.
So was it one of your 4-toed or
5-toe.
5-toer? Okay.
Yeah. I've never really seen a 4-toed print in our area
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
But I have one of my friends, researchers. He's now one of our associate team members, him and his wife, Dr. Bill Hewitt. He's a cryptozoologist. And he pulled an excellent 4-toed print down in the Everglades.
Okay.
I think it was around Bear Island. And so he gave me a copy of it. So
Wow.
I have never really found a 4-toed print. You'll see like a print that looks like it has 5 toes, or it may have 4 toes, but maybe, the pinky toe or something isn't, pressing down that much. So I have not personally found one of those yet.
Yep. And then you also shared with us some photos last time around of these intricate, balanced structures.
Yeah, the asterisks.
The asterisk. Are you still finding those in the area that you're at? Researching?
Well, those were like basically found in the spring.
Okay.
So, like around April, June, July. Well, last year we had so much rain from the hurricane, tropical storms, all this stuff that went through that we have record levels of water out there in the swamps. So we haven't been able to really go out to some of our favorite areas because they're so flooded. Well, now things are starting to dry up, and we found a possible one about 3 weeks ago. It wasn't very neat, but it was still organized in that way. But so April, May, we should find a lot more. April, May, June, we should find a lot more of those.
So last fall, huge hurricane.
Yes.
Went across Florida, and obviously there was along the West Coast a lot of damage, and I can imagine some of that going inland. Do you guys in your group, do you see any patterns of like where you may be finding Bigfoot sign in areas that that you haven't before? Like does a storm disrupt their living
it probably does, but then the storm does its own damage to trees. So like I've been going down to the Everglades quite a bit because I'm working with David Shealy. I have a skunk ape meeting that's coming up this Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And with David Shealy and Phyllis Cesar. And so when you drive down to the Everglades, all the forests you see along the way just breaks. There's so much damage. There's so much tree damage out there. Yeah, it's really sad. So you really can't tell what was caused by the hurricane or what was caused by a Bigfoot or a skunk ape or something,
So you just mentioned a skunk ape. Is it a conference that's coming up weekend? Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
Yes. David Shealy and I, he's a skunk ape expert. He's down in Ochopee, Florida. And he's had 3 sightings throughout his life. And so we've been toying with the idea of having some kind of skunk ape event. And so I decided, I think it needs to be more than that. It has to also include the Everglades. So
Yeah.
we're doing both. We're teaching people about the Everglades, the ecosystem,
Yeah.
et cetera, and skunk apes. So the people that we have who will be speaking, like Thomas Locklear, he is a historian. So he knows about the Gladesman heritage.
Hmm.
And he also knows the history of skunk apes. So
Oh,
probably like stories that go back to like the 1800s
okay.
and Native American stuff. We also have Betty Osceola. She's a Miccosukee tribe member.
Wow.
And she's in the new National Geographic documentary called Path of the Panther. And she's
Okay.
going to be speaking at our meeting. And she's an Everglades educator,
Yeah.
conservationist. So she's going to be talking about the Everglades. And hopefully she'll tell some stories that she heard, when she was a little girl in the tribe. And of course, David Shealy,
Yeah.
he'll be talking about the skunk apes. And we
But-
have Dusty Crum. He is a python hunter down there. And
okay.
he's on 2 TV shows.
Ah,
One was the the latest one is Swamp People Serpent Invasion, and the other one is Guardians of the Glades.
ah.
So he'll be speaking. So he's got a huge fan base.
Well, Angie really likes swamps too.
I really do.
She
She
looks like a swamp girl.
she spends she spends quite a bit of time in the swamps now
I
with
just have
Barb.
fallen in love with swamps. I never
I like it.
realized
Yeah.
how beautiful they are.
They
They
are
have their
she-
own little ecosystem, and I just love them.
Her and Barb, they have their a name as Swamp Hags
Swamp Divas.
Divas. It started off as Swamp
Diva?
Hags.
Can I be one too?
Yes, we're gonna
Now-
get T-shirts for all of us.
Now
There
it's
you go.
Swamp Divas.
There you
know?
go.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm out in the swamps every single weekend, and it's really weird. I love wintertime in the swamps because
Yeah.
all the leaves come off. You can see
Mm-hmm.
for a mile just about, right?
Oh,
And then poof, 2 weeks ago, bam, all this greenery. It's like, oh my God, where'd all these leaves come from? Where'd all these ferns come from? Now it's just absolutely stunning out there.
Yeah.
Everything is just spring green, beautiful. And so it's really gorgeous out there right now.
wow.
I don't know if I'm a fan of swamps though in the summertime. I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
really. It's thick here in Georgia in the swamps.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
It's
know
thick
about. Is it thick in Florida too?
Oh yeah, it's super thick, super thick. I still have to wear mosquito spray. I have to wear that. Doesn't matter if it's winter, spring, summer, or fall. I have to wear mosquito spray.
That's probably where they're at. I
Mhm.
mean, it's good. I mean, I would say a very good hiding place because it's
all that standing water.
yeah,
They're,
and
they're in heaven.
hard to get back into.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, man, so that's that. I mean, so you got skunk. Now, where is that going to be? That conference?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
being held in Ochopee, Florida, which is in the Big Cypress Preserve.
Okay.
And David has his skunk ape research headquarters in Ochopee, Florida.
Wow.
And that's where he also lives. And he also has a campground right behind his facility. So that's where we're having the meeting in the exhibit hall area where all the snakes are.
Oh,
And he actually has one of the world's largest snakes in his exhibit. And her name is Goldie. She's like a 24-foot long reticulated python.
really? And
Good
something that
grief.
one of those pythons that they caught out there, or
Yeah, he found it. He caught it, I think, when she was about 10 feet long.
okay. Well, now you lost Angie because she does not like snakes.
Now she's 24 feet long. I think the record.
I want to know what
is
do you
25 or
feed?
26.
What do you feed a 24-foot snake?
whatever he wants to eat. No, I'm
Now
just
it,
kidding.
some,
I think they feed it like rabbits. Like,
so, I was going
Oh,
to say something like
that's so
23 feet.
pitiful.
frozen
Oh,
rabbits, probably chicken,
you
whatever.
know they're live.
But she's incredibly strong. I mean, it
Yeah.
takes several people to hold the door shut so she can't get out.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's insane because she wants to get out, and she is large enough that she could push that door open. If they're trying to hold it, if they're trying to like slip some food through there,
Mm-hmm.
and she wants to get out, yeah, it's an ordeal. It's definitely an ordeal, but they got it under control. They know exactly what to do, and so she's going to be in the room with us. He's got this beautiful Everglades exhibit there, so it's the perfect setting for Everglades Skunk Ape meeting.
So like in the room, but
Mhm.
um, in an enclosure though.
Yeah, they're glass enclosures, all of them, and he's got Burmese pythons. He's got snapping turtles. Outside, he's got gators, crocodiles.
Okay. Well, I took my son golfing yesterday, and we found a baby turtle on one of the greens.
Oh, did
So,
you?
yep.
Aw,
And then he picked it up. It was smaller than a golf ball, so he picked it up and returned it to a pond that was nearby.
good.
So yeah. So, but it was the smallest turtle I've seen in years. I mean, literally. I mean, it was smaller than a 50-cent piece.
I'm
I was like,
surprised he saw it.
yeah, exactly. I thought it was a leaf, and I was gonna try to, move it aside, but then, I saw the legs and the little head stick out. I told my son, "Hey, come get this," and he was fascinated by it. So
Yeah, I want
Angie,
to say a few more things if you don't mind
no,
about
please do.
what we're doing with David Shealy. David Shealy is a member of our group. He absolutely loves our team, and he goes out with us whenever we can. So we were just there a month ago and spent 3 days doing skunk ape research with him. We went on swamp buggies. We went kayaking. Um, we went out behind the campground where David had a sighting where he filmed a skunk ape walking and then running through the sawgrass.
Oh.
So what my team now, what we're wanting to do is we want to like reenact the video as much as we can, because most people, when they see the video, number one, they assume it's just dry grass and it's a guy in a suit running.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? It's the Everglades in July. There's water there. There's like 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
There's no way, it'd be almost impossible for someone to be wearing a Bigfoot suit trying to run through 2 feet of water in the sawgrass.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it 3 weeks ago when it was dry out there.
Yeah.
Team member Mike and Chris, they both went out there. They tried to reenact it, and we were filming them because we want people to see. Okay, Mike is 6 feet tall. We want to show people how little he looks. Because the grass came up to like his chest, so all you could see was here and his where his cowboy hat was.
Mm-hmm.
But in the film, you see a lot more of this creature. And the speed that skunk ape is running through the grass. Mike and Chris couldn't even run. They could not run because the sawgrass was so thick and it was muddy.
Yeah.
And there was even some water out there a little bit.
Yeah.
But in July, it's a river of grass. That's what the Everglades is.
Not to mention, you can't breathe when you have on a Bigfoot costume. I know I have one that I wore for Halloween, and it was October, and I couldn't stand it because you couldn't breathe in it.
Well, can you imagine July in Florida wearing a Bigfoot suit?
Ugh, no
Just
way.
normal temperatures down there.
No.
Feels like it's 120 degrees with like 5,000 degree humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
You know,
And
then
he
you gotta
videoed it for a
assume-
while.
and then you're running through water, and you're running a long way through
Yes.
the water. So this weekend, Friday, we're going to do another reenactment,
Okay.
and we're bringing another a friend of ours who is a long distance runner,
Okay.
and we're going to have him try to see if he can run out there. And we want to film it because we want to show people, we don't, we're trying to debunk it
Right.
basically. And we're trying to
Yeah.
prove people that it really was a skunk ape.
Yeah.
That really
Mhm.
did happen. But
Man,
people don't know the Everglades, so they just like, that's just dry grass. He's just
No.
like a prairie or something. No, that's water. And the sawgrass is sharp.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind of like slice your arms up and stuff like that. It's sharp.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see some of your footage of you guys doing like the comparisons.
Yeah.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah. So we already, team member Chris is already starting to work on that.
Nice.
To do the side by side comparison kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
Well, Angie, Bea Mills is standing by here backstage. Would you like me to bring her in studio?
Well, I can go ahead and give a little intro before we bring her in.
Okay.
Her bio is quite lengthy. She's got so many accomplishments. So you have to forgive me while I try to read off some of this. There's no way I could remember all this. But Bea, she's an outdoor enthusiast. That's where she feels most at home. Much credit is lent to the Girl Scouts for Bea's passion for the outdoors. Aside from mom duties and a 22-year nursing career, she spends her spare time hiking, fishing, tracking, creeking, boating, and volunteering. Her personal interest in Bigfoot began as a child reading books, and in 2013 took a greater role in exploring the possibility of the existence through research and investigative fieldwork. As a result, Bea has cast over 30 possible Bigfoot tracks in Ohio, including the longest vetted track line to this date. Through thousands of hours of recordings, she has collected the largest known database of Ohio Sasquatch vocalizations.
Wow.
She has led both private and BFRO expeditions. She teaches field intensives, and she continues to learn skills to enhance accurate data collection and improve techniques that she feels are necessary to science behind the phenomena. Bea Mills has been an investigator for the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization for 7 years. She founded and hosts 2 charity events for Big Brothers and Big Sisters Camp with the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Conference since 2015, and Where the Wild Places Are, which will be coming this fall. She is an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist and past president of the Hocking Hills chapter. She was awarded the 2019 Bigfoot Times Bigfooter of the Year Award for her field work in Southern Ohio. She continues to consult on other Bigfoot investigations in Ohio, and she's working on a self-published book with her experiences in Ohio's vast natural habitat. The name of her book, Bigfoot and Mythology of Madness, I believe is released now. It's scheduled to be released in March, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it has now been released. So
Wow.
if we can bring Bea on.
All righty, here we go. Hello, Bea.
Hi.
Hey, this is Captain Joe. You got Angie and our special host, Marie Dumont from Florida. So welcome aboard.
hi, Bea.
Thank you. Nice to meet everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a real lengthy intro, Angie.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like terrible. I mean, hang on. Let me
Boring.
look. So my wife tells me I got 2 gold stars as a first grade hall monitor. So can we add that to my resume? I'm sorry, B. You're so. Incredible. Like from the tracks, and the longest string of tracks. That's a
It's
huge
impressive.
accomplishment. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
tell us, B, what got you into this subject of Bigfoot or Sasquatch investigation?
That's a great question. It all started kind of as a joke. It was a joke. I mean, yeah, I read books as a kid, but Bigfoot didn't exist. Come on.
Jokes on you, B.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, big time. And
Yeah.
I had some weird things happen I couldn't explain, and curiosity killed the cat. So I don't know how I'm still here, but yep. Um, I had I grew up outdoors, I guess, in the middle of nowhere in Pickaway County, and I had no fear of the woods whatsoever. And so in 2013, I kind of got ran out of the woods, and I was mad. So I had to figure some stuff out. And while I still didn't believe it was Bigfoot, you know, well,
Okay.
it wasn't, a month and a half later that I had a thermal sighting, pure dumb luck, and it was game on. And then,
All right. So I gotta ask.
yeah,
This is 2013. You got
yeah,
ran out of the woods. What were you doing in the woods?
I was trying to camp. I was trying to have
Okay.
a nice
So,
evening.
yeah,
I had my
camping.
dinner
Okay.
with the fire. It was just all sorts of weird things. I've
So
never,
was this like a campground, or you just kind of like went out somewhere and just like bushwhacked it in and found a spot?
no, I wasn't feeling that rugged, but
Okay.
no, it was just at a campground, and I was there by myself and minding my own business. And it was, right after dusk, and um,
So what
oh
happened?
I was so hungry, and my dinner was almost done on the fire, and it smelled so good, and there was just all this weird commotion behind, a huge thicket of multiflora rosa, and it was dark, and I was so happy I had brand new headlamps. And I mean, it was kind of weird because like all my electronics died at once, and I just got this really overwhelmingly just I need to go feeling. So
Hmm.
boy, I still can't describe it, and I hate admitting it, but yeah, I got out of there, and I drove
So
2 hours home.
so Angie, one of our guests before talked about being zapped. Is that kind of like what you're describing? Kind of getting zapped and kind of get the EBGB feelings to get out.
Back then I didn't even know what Zapped was.
I
So
still don't know. I mean, everyone
right,
talks about it. I'm like, I've never been zapped. I mean, I lost a leg, from Iraq. I mean, that's that's kind of like
I'd
getting
say
zapped.
that you got zapped, okay?
You
well,
know.
yeah, no, I would just say it just an overall feeling of absolute discomfort, and whatever was
Gotcha.
moving behind, the brush was just it didn't sound like a deer. I'm pretty familiar with
Yeah.
outdoors animals, and it was enough. I was just no, absolutely not. And then another true blue BFRO investigator, because Bigfoot doesn't exist back then, right?
Right.
So he was like, "Well, tell me more," and I'm like, "I don't really want to." And so eventually, I went back to the campground with him, and he said, "Well, not that it makes you feel any better, but there was a police officer and his son who were camping almost in this exact spot a couple weeks ago that got ran out, and
What?
we happened to go down to this the lake that was just right behind the campground down the hill, and he pulled out all these Bigfoot things. One of them included a thermal imager, and it was my first time looking through it. I had never seen anything like it was so cool. And
Mm-hmm.
we were looking through it, and super long story short, he watched something walk on two legs, handed the thermal imager back to me, and I watched it walk up a hill. So we had to go investigate right there, 10 o'clock at night. Um, couldn't find any sign that there, was a human. No cars, no people around. There was just nothing. So I still wasn't convinced by the thermal hit. And then, but of course, I like being outside and hiking and meeting people and this, that, and the other and camping out. So 1 year later, because, we had to, curiosity, had to go keep checking out the area just in case.
Yeah.
April 6th, 2014, I had a Class A not a few miles from there. And
Oh, wow.
that eliminated that skepticism, I guess, because it's just a story, but for folks who have had Class A's, you can't unsee what you saw. So
Yeah. No, definitely.
what do you
So
do with that? Well, you have to know more.
yeah. So describe this Class A visual.
We were with a whole group of people. It turned into this really fun private expedition that I put together,
Okay.
and I called it the search for Uncle Harry because it's fun. Why not?
Yeah.
Bigfoot doesn't exist. This is just going out looking for Bigfoot. So there was-
So hang on though. So this is another group of like-minded individuals like you who may have had a type of encounter or been run off before as well, or
they were picked by the investigator because I was like, I want to do this and I want to try an expedition, and he was like, all right, well, I'll invite some people. So he knew everybody. I didn't know anybody, and I
Okay.
invited my neighbors. So yes, there were folks that came from surrounding states and hardcore BFRO and private investigators and all sorts of enthusiasts. So I think there were like 11 or 12 of us out that weekend.
huh, man, and you got a Class A sighting, huh?
Yep.
Were you the only one that saw it, or
Unfortunately, because the person I was standing next to refused to turn around.
oh man,
What? Refused? Why would they refuse? They didn't want to be afraid?
Absolutely refused. I even said the sighting lasted long enough for me to take a step back and say, you have to see this. I can't be the only one to see this. And they said, no.
Wow.
I know.
They probably
What they
panicked.
were out there for? I mean,
They
Yeah.
panicked.
and they didn't want to see
wow.
what you just saw,
I know.
man. Well,
They
man,
could probably see the look in your face.
well, you got your 400. I was gonna say you got your $400 worth out of that trip. Was that a BFRO sponsored thing, or?
No, Bea Mills put it on for fun.
Oh man, so it was free of charge, and you still got to get Class A sightings.
Wow.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
pay for your
awesome.
campsite. Oh, I mean, it was, yeah, and there was zero expectations. It was an area with, that felt good and, had all the right components. There was a food plot on the top field. There was water nearby, lots of fish, yeah, so and it was really unused because it was on a dead end road that was you could barely get a car down, and so not a whole lot of foot traffic or human traffic, and yeah, no, that zero expectation. So you can just imagine this hardcore skeptic just staring at this thing walking on two legs, looking like the kicker on a pro football team, walking down a hill right towards me. No.
Okay, all right. So
No.
that's that was not the description I was expecting. A kicker.
No.
I've played golf with quite a few NFL kickers, and they're not the big guys.
Yeah.
Now, if you said lineman or a linebacker, I'd be oh, okay, yeah. He was huge. so you got a juvenile.
Yeah. Yeah, more than likely. I think because we went back the next day to go, look at the scene and the site and go get some measurements and see if we could find any, tracks or whatever. And Yeah, so we estimated it to be, excuse me, right around 7 foot tall and
Ooh.
about roughly 20-25 yards from us.
Really?
Mm.
That's pretty close.
So as it was walking to you, did you just watch it and it just turned and went into the, the brush, or how did your sighting end with it?
It ended with me staring at my shoes.
Staring at your shoes?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at this mythological creature that's not supposed to exist. And it's just, it's there. And there was an absolute, the only way I can describe it is just a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Like my rational brain just absolutely came to a screeching halt. And I just stared at my shoes and shook my head like, no,
You
No,
just
I
couldn't
can't.
process it.
I can't even see this. And, in the few seconds I did that, I picked my head back up, just expecting this thing to be right in front of me. And it wasn't. It was gone. And it sounded like an elephant. And it had already, come directly in front of me to my right and just ran straight through the brush into the water, because there was a little, I guess like a wood line right before the creek, or before the water line. And
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, when it was crashing through the brush, everybody turned around and it's like, what's that? And I'm just standing there, just absolute disbelief. Like, I don't even have words for this. Like, how did it go from I quick. But yeah, that was what ended all skepticism for me. And I like, well, I should probably take this seriously now. Let's see if we can figure some stuff out. So yeah, 2014, it's been a ride. 9 years.
Wow. So what has that been the only visual? Obviously, you probably only need one to get you really hooked onto this subject. But I mean, in all the times that you've gone back out and collected casts and whatnot, have you been lucky enough to see another one or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's hear about that one too.
Oh wow.
Well, how many sightings have you had, B?
4.
What?
Good
4?
Lord.
That's a lot. That's a lot. But
That is a
Oh,
lot.
that it's almost incredible.
yeah.
Are they
Okay.
all in Ohio?
Yes, that they are. I've heard some really good whoops down in Kentucky. A few knocks here and there. But the visuals were all in Ohio, and I would have to say it's because of the investigation that I was on for roughly 5 years. So it was kind of in the thick of it, and it took a few years. The property owners had, the family had seen it. The surrounding neighbors had seen it, and I didn't. I was able to capture, the vocals and ancillary evidence, but it wasn't until just before the end of the investigation, 2018, where I actually got to see it. And this was no kicker. This was the linebacker.
Oh,
Mm.
big
This
one.
was massive,
Okay.
and it was. You want to talk about uncomfortable?
Yeah.
That was a full retreat, walking backwards up a hill.
So there was no staring at your feet this time. You were you
No,
were okay. You were getting out of there. So I mean, did it look aggressive or just the sheer size of it made you feel uncomfortable to leave or get back?
it was the sheer size, yes. And
Wow.
number 2, it just stood there smack in the middle of this path, because the property owners, they had like a 4-wheeler path that went down the hill through the woods, and it just stood there. and
Mm.
it didn't even waver. It didn't move. It just stood. It was like, okay, I'm out. I wasn't about to go shake his hand.
Yeah.
No.
So that was number 2. And what year was this? And this is Ohio, obviously, still, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep, that was in 2018. Funny thing was though, like I have it all on my phone.
Oh, you got pictures or video of it?
It
Or
you can't really make anything out, but because yes, I had a white flashlight for that event, and
oh,
yeah, no, that was just me going, oh Lord, and lots of expletives,
yeah, yeah.
and then the full retreat back, saying, okay, I'm out.
Yeah. So we have the audio of your reaction.
Yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of dirt and shrubs nearby. Yeah. So yeah, that was a creepy one.
Wow. So you investigated um, the same like farm. I don't know. I don't know if you call it a farm, but for several years, you focused your investigation for an extended amount of time on one piece of property. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's where you were able to get all the vocals. Is that where the trackway was recorded also that you
Yes.
found? Same property?
Yep.
Wow. And that's an incredible trackway. I can't remember. How many tracks were there?
I was able to cast 13.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How big
It-
were they?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just ask how big were they?
They averaged 16, so they weren't huge.
Yeah.
That's pretty big
Yeah,
still.
that's very big.
Do you have a website or is there somewhere that the listeners can go to look at
Yeah.
your evidence that you collected?
No, I published a book,
Okay.
All
and
right.
my entire track line report with photos, my graphs, charts, sketches are all in my book.
Okay.
The Daniel Prez with the Bigfoot Times, he did write an article about it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, Finding Bigfoot
Mm-hmm.
came out in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
that fall, and they did about 30 minutes on it.
Wow.
So, well, I mean, and to be fair, I've been friends with Cliff and Bobo, and I had reached out to Cliff because of his documentation for the London Trackway. And regardless of the situation, his documentation of it was absolutely outstanding.
Right.
Yeah, all the measurements, the way he did the formula, and I had used that for an investigation in February of 2014 in Scioto County, Ohio, that is on the BFRO website. So that same method was what I guess was practiced for this real deal, not in snow. So yeah, it was intense because if anyone ever thinks Bigfoot is easy, it is not.
No.
Especially with something like that, because just because of you don't get a second chance. I mean, you can't just if you screw something up, it's screwed up.
Yeah.
Right.
So not just going off of the experience that I had previously. Yeah, Cliff was very involved in that, and especially things as I guess small but not small as mixing plaster in different substrates. I know that the London Trackway was on the beach. We don't have a ton of sand and sandbars in Ohio, but on this particular property, a lot of the substrate was sandstone. So there was indeed sand. And you mix your plaster differently, with the rocky soils versus mud versus sand. So just to make sure I didn't screw anything up, yes, that investigation took hours
Yeah.
because I wanted to make sure that I was able to get all the data and try to not miss anything.
Wow.
Did I go a little overboard? I'm going to say
No,
never.
No.
I,
no.
I
No.
probably still missed things from that investigation. But the cool thing is that what was just awesome is we were able to follow that track line across the creek up the hill, and we actually found a game trail, and we measured the based off the step and the stride from the prints that were available on the creek bank. We were able to pick the trail back up, follow it to a game trail, and that game trail, thank goodness it had rained previously, like that night before. We were able to get 2 mud tracks cast.
Nice.
Oh, they were absolutely beautiful because they're suspicious for having actual dermatoglyphs on. So I was so happy and absolutely blown away. And you want to talk about no pressure pouring that plaster.
Oh my God.
No
Oh my
pressure,
God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always stressful, that's for sure.
right?
Mhm.
Step
So,
1, secure the scene.
Yeah.
so so Marie and B, you guys and your groups, you're in the field quite often, and you make these finds of these tracks, and you do make a plaster cast of them. Do you Th then what? You take pictures, yeah, I guess when I watch, like, TV, anything with Bigfoot or Bigfoot documentaries, seems like, people send them or let, Je Doctor Meldrum,
Mm-hmm.
um, review them or look at them. B D is that something that you wanted to do as well? 'Cause, isn't he, like, the foremost expert on the tracks and that mobility?
Oh, yeah, actually struck gold with that because both Cliff and Dr. Meldrum were speaking at the UP conference that year.
Oh, and you show up with
Bonus.
yeah,
Wow.
with a trunk load of, tracks.
Yes.
Castings.
Yeah,
Well,
and, and you became their buddies, and they're like, "Whoa, okay." I mean, it's kinda like Angie. I mean, at the Molina Bigfoot festival that you had, one of the guests several weeks ago, she showed up with a cast, and that's
Mhm.
unbelievable what she showed you.
Mhm.
And then I can't imagine like B, I mean, you show up to UP and I was like, hey, can you look at
Yeah.
this? I mean, what was their
She shows up at
reaction?
13.
Yeah, what was their reaction to that?
um, well, that's kind of exactly how it went. And just to add a little more flavor to the story, so earlier that year, 2019 was actually a booming year for evidence, like actual hard evidence. So in April, I was able to cast 1.5 tracks, a right foot and a half of a left foot, which were also suspicious for derms. So I took those up too. And then post track line, I had you can't just stop. You have to give it due diligence because
Mhm.
where there's those, I mean, it's not like, and it had rained, so the ground was still nice and wet. And Ohio is just terribly humid, so thank goodness the ground was still wet. Was able to score one more cast, which was suspicious for derms as well. So now I have 4 right feet casts, suspicious for derms, and yes, yes, that was kind of how that conversation. Hey, do you guys mind? So, the other investigator I was up there with, literally, we pulled out a towel and set them on the back of the trunk,
Really?
and they poured over these casts, and I've never felt so sick in my life. I mean, butterflies were in my throat. I was literally terrified because, you know, I don't have a PhD, and I've never written a thesis, but I can only imagine it was the same amount of pressure because that was 4 years of my life sitting on a trunk, that I had devoted every blessed day, hours going through audio. I mean, just trying to put together theories and processes and answer questions to that creature of Bigfoot and what's going on, and try to put pieces together, and they're staring at these casts, and I did. So they actually
I'm sorry, B. You got me chuckling because you make it sound like you're on Antiques Roadshow, and you brought like this heirloom that,
Monstars.
yeah, exactly, that you found, and you're hoping they tell you is like worth like $5 billion. It's the most rarest thing, and like, oh no, this is just a reproduction. No, I mean that is funny the way you described it. No, but no, but go on. So
oh no, you're fine. Well, that's how it goes. It's like,
really, so were there other people standing in line with their casts? Wait,
there
I
was
doubt it.
I mean, Marie, you've been to these. You've been to some of these conventions,
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, is there like a table where get your foot scope checked out here or whatever? I mean, I have no whatever you call it. Get your evidence
No, I mean,
verified. I don't know.
typically, like say, me and my team, we're going to be on Researchers Row at the
Uh-huh.
Great Florida Bigfoot Conference. So
Okay.
we're going to have our team table. We have
Yeah.
our casts. We just put it out there, and Meldrum's going to be there
Oh,
this year, so he's going to be able to see the casts that we pulled from Central Florida.
oh man, please bring your cast like in this like awesome like velour lined case. You open it up, like a mobster, like $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's just a foot in there.
Yeah, we've made these like wooden frames that they just kind of like sit in, and then you just stack them. And so we're going to have all our casts. So that's what the teams do on those conferences. They bring their
Okay.
casts for display for everybody to look at, because most of the people are not field researchers. They've never
Yeah.
been out in the woods.
Yeah.
They're probably on the fence about Bigfoot.
Okay.
And that gives them the opportunity to really see and touch the stuff, and talk to us. So it's good.
So okay. So now back to B. You were at the table. You got butterflies. Because this is years of your work, years of you going out into the woods, into the dark, and you're hoping that this expert, the subject matter expert, says, yeah, these are what what you think it is. Did you get that sign, that approval, the gold star, the stamp?
yep, I
You
sure
did. Did they ring a bell like when you leave Home Depot and you're happy with their service? Ding ding. I mean,
No, because we were literally in a parking spot in the street with the cast on the trunk. The whole thing was videotaped.
All right, Angie, when you do your festival, please, streamers, spotlights, cannons, they need to go off when you get a good piece of evidence.
I hope
okay?
somebody brings something, but
Yeah,
I would
don't make
be
it.
bringing 13. I would be
Yeah.
blown away.
Yeah,
So that's
don't
just so
you know,
impressive.
don't let what happened to B happen. Okay, I mean we don't want
Okay.
this back parking lot transaction going on. You got to make a big show out of this. I mean,
Okay.
B. I mean, wouldn't that have been cool for you? I mean, all of a sudden, bam! You're like the million shopper.
No,
No?
because I don't like when people like tell people it's my birthday when I'm going out to dinner. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to wear the magic sombrero?
Bea, I know you
don't
left
want you don't want the
very
birthday
satisfied.
sombrero? Dang it.
No.
Hey, B, did Cliff take copies of your prints?
No.
No, really.
No.
I'm
No, they-
surprised he didn't make copies for his museum.
No,
Oh.
they are originals.
And you still possess them today?
Yeah, they're in my trunk. I just left the
They're
library
still in your
presentation.
trunk.
You just keep them in there because you never know.
No,
when you run
no.
into-
I
Oh,
just
okay.
I just left a library presentation, so I'm sitting in
Oh.
a shady gas station parking lot.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I just let's see.
Speaking of, B, you were just a speaker this past weekend at Frogman Conference. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
I saw that on Facebook. I heard you were a smash hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad they had fun.
I
So it
heard
was
they
a
really
lizard
enjoyed
man?
it.
It was a Lizard Man festival or something.
Oh, the Loveland Frog Monster.
Frog
Monster.
Okay.
So they wanted Bigfoot people there for that?
You know, the organizer is oh my gosh, you talk about a super dynamic person. Like, if you've ever seen the Map in Black or the Hidden Ohio maps, oh, his maps are so much fun, and he puts on the map like all these different, you know, weird anomalies and local legends and lores on this map.
Right.
It's
Right.
absolutely a blast. So yeah, he had folks speak about all sorts of different topics. So once again, no pressure. Here's B with the Bigfoot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those, I couldn't even believe, you know, people stuck around for me because I was at the end of the day. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Thanks, guys.
Did you have your book with you? Has it been actually released now? Is it
Yes.
available for purchase?
Oh, please tell us.
Yes. Saturday was it. It was a big day.
So how do we get the book? How do we order the book?
You can either hit me up on my B page on Facebook, or you can just grab it on Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
So what's the name of the book, please, first?
It is called Bigfoot: Methodology of Madness.
Methodology of Madness.
I hope I said that correctly when I did her bio
You
introduction.
You
that-
did. You
I did. Okay.
Mhm.
Don't be throwing the big words at me.
I know.
that sounds like it should be an Ozzy Osbourne record
Song.
album. Right?
Song.
A good cover.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah, I love it though.
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
all right. So I'm
That
going to
sounds
Amazon.
exciting.
I'm going to Amazon. I got to get one now just because, you
Mhm.
know what? Yeah, add it to my collection.
Well, it is.
So-
It's madness. It's all madness because, you know, it's just Bigfooting is so dynamic and it can take so many weird twists and turns. And the more time you spend out in the field, hopefully, the more questions you'll have, and the more things, you know, so you can learn. So, you know, my approach is very outdoors oriented, very nature related, especially in southeastern Ohio, which is where I live and predominantly most of my areas are. The history of the area is kind of awful. I mean, the whole region was clear cut. Most of our big game and animals were extirpated. There were no trees back in the beginning of the 1900s. And, you know, incidentally enough, there were no Bigfoot reports until they stopped clear cutting and they stopped, you know, the coal mining and the furnaces shut down. So Ohio's really made a comeback as far as our natural resources go. But those are the kind of things, you know, assuming that the Bigfoot is the flesh and blood, and, you know, and being of our natural environment, you kind of got to know what type of environment would support, you know, your 800-pound, 9-foot Sasquatch. So,
Well, I'm glad,
Just those kinds of things.
well, I'm kind of well. You kind of opened it up, and I'm kind of glad you did because you just mentioned flesh and bone. I am of that camp of that they are flesh and bone, and they don't pull down a limb and open a portal and go from Ohio to the Everglades,
Right.
for the winter.
I
You know,
wish.
yeah,
Right.
and then walk through a bunch of palmettos and zip
Mhm.
right back to Ohio.
Right.
What are your beliefs? I mean, you've seen four now. You've casted numerous tracks. Do you believe just the flesh and blood
Like a
here
wild man or
here on Earth? Yeah, yeah, like
primate or.
yeah,
Mhm.
You know, I do believe Sasquatch is a flesh and blood.
yes,
I initially was leaning towards the relic hominid idea.
Mhm.
But the more I dig into this, I just really I have to quote Cliff. I really do. A Sasquatch is a Sasquatch. I just I
There's
and
no other
that's
way to describe it, I guess, right?
right. I mean, it's just and I had some really good conversations this weekend because there were all sorts of different folks from all sorts of different backgrounds, and they did ask the paranormal question. They asked the woo question, and it was like, there's not enough data to really support anything. Have I seen a Sasquatch bleed? No, I haven't. But I, it's just in my mind, it makes more rational sense that there's just a very small population of this Sasquatch, and it's been around a lot longer than we have. So
gotcha.
yeah, that's where I stand.
No, no, thank you for that. For giving us that answer.
Sure.
So
Well, B, I have a question. How were you lucky enough to have the resource area? How did you find that one research area that you were able to focus your research on?
The gentleman called in on the BFRO hotline,
Mm-hmm.
and I happen to live 3 miles from it.
Oh, wow.
oh, there's right down the street.
Mm.
So the gentleman who got the phone call forwarded it to me, being the local point person, and then assigned the case to me.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
It was really time consuming because the case was pretty aggressive and dynamic to start with. I mean, there was a lot of untoward behavior on both sides, the witness side and the Sasquatch side. I mean, they were trading blows back and forth. So really, it was trying to figure out why, because most Sasquatch behavior, at least, in Ohio and Midwest, I've heard things about your swamp apes, though. Jeez. It's really not aggressive unless provoked, typically. So, just trying to figure out what was going on, but, taking that passive approach until I could get a grasp on anything that made sense, came the LDR project. And that LDR project took almost a year to get off the ground. Until then, it was using a Tascam DRO5, which is not programmable at all. And boy, it was every single night going out to that property, changing batteries, changing SD cards.
Wow.
I mean, every single night.
Wow.
Ooh. All right. So hey, what's the rumorville about these swamp apes? You just mentioned it. What?
They're
What?
aggressive.
Very
What?
great.
I was gonna say what's the rumor on the street? I don't know.
Yeah, the rumor is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're very aggressive. And I completely understand that because everything in the Everglades is out to kill you.
And it's
And it's hot, and the mosquitoes are
it's 110. It's
got
our
100.
biggest cats.
panthers, you got alligators, crocodiles, you've got, pythons. And see spiders and other, water moccasins. Everything out there is out to kill you. So of course they're aggressive, right? You're just trying to,
they're just
survive.
walking around pissed. Okay, got it.
You're trying to survive.
Okay, all righty, all right. Well, that okay makes sense.
Mhm.
So, B, for the sake of the listeners and this series, which the SEB presents Women in the Field. You started off. You weren't a true believer. I mean, I think most people kind of start off that way. They don't believe it until they see it. But to another lady out there who's listening and may have an interest now of going out to do research on their own, whether their own property, their backyards, or the woods next door. Um, what do you recommend they have to get started? I mean, obviously a camera, or you. What was in your basic toolkit?
Notebook and a pencil.
Notebook, pencil. Oh, okay. And Marie?
Well, I mean, for me, I've always been a city slicker.
Okay.
I never went out into the woods and swamps and all that stuff. So, hey, if I can go out there and roam around in swamps and everything, anybody can do it. But, most people are, just nervous about it. They don't want to go out by themselves. They don't know where to go.
Mhm.
So that was the hardest thing for me when I first started, because I was just like, oh my God, I want to do this, but I don't know where to go, what to do. And I just started. I just went to a local park and just started walking around, getting used to being out in the woods and getting comfortable with it. That's the biggest part, is getting comfortable with being out there for me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll agree with what Marie said. And that's actually, I mean, my background's a little bit different, growing up in the country, but one of the things I realized early on was I didn't know enough about the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know enough about nature. I mean, I knew a lot, and that's why I became an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist. I found a knowledge gap, and I knew that was something that was going to be important if this is something I'm seriously going to do. And it was great. It was a 8-week class here in Ohio. It's they take you, at least in the Hocking Hills where I'm at. Oh, and to update the bio, I'm the president again. So yeah, we take folks, out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere, preserves, a lot of places the public can't go. So, and they teach you, about, ecology and water quality and forest health. So that's a really nice way to get into the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you got to, if Bigfoot's what you're looking for, think a little bit out of the box, because you're looking for the world's hide and seek champion.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just looking for, the bloodroot coming up in certain soils, or where the trillium is grown based off where the ants migrate to. So yeah, yeah, looking for things a little bit different, but yeah, no, just like Marie said, start slow, start easy, ease into it, and you're gonna find, if you enjoy the outdoors, Bigfoot's like I guess if Bigfoot were to be a portal, it would be a portal to learning more nature things.
Right.
That's
Because I enjoy, seeing a butterfly. I enjoy finding, cool mushrooms and stuff. I hope to have a Bigfoot encounter of some sort, but I enjoy nature, just being out there, looking at all the beauty.
Oh yeah, I love taking photos. I mean,
Oh yeah,
there's
I do that all the time.
yeah, so if nothing else, I mean, what a great way to like waste time and like totally, take souvenirs home, photos.
Yeah.
Right.
You could you burn a lot of calories too.
Absolutely.
That walking in the woods, that walking in the woods is a little bit different than hiking.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bea, I have a question. What
Yeah.
is creaking? I noticed that was one of your
Yes.
hobbies.
I thought the same thing, Angie.
Creaking? Well, I'm
Mhm.
turning 44 this year, so I don't know. It might be my knees. But
Uh,
Oh, that kind of creaking. Okay.
yeah, no. One of my absolute favorite things to do literally is just to go play in a creek. I guess like a stream or
Mhm.
um
I,
it's I'm not sure how it is in different states, but I know at least in Ohio, because of the glaciers and where they stopped at and where I grew up, our creeks are pretty easy to walk in. So um, we also have a lot of indigenous American sites, so there's always the opportunity to find cool arrowheads and artifacts.
Mhm.
Nice.
Plus, I'm just a rock nerd, and I love
Mhm.
fishing.
Mhm.
Um, and I got into fishing with ulterior motives when I started hearing the fishermen's reports.
Correct. Mhm.
ah,
So,
Mhm.
yes, you can find me in the summer in the middle of a creek, either fishing or just looking at rocks,
wow.
because
S-
that's also synonymous with squatching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Angie, earlier you also said that B has recorded vocals of
Mhm.
Bigfoot there in Ohio.
Mhm.
That's that's pretty amazing too.
Mhm.
Because B several weeks ago, we had a lady come on from Mississippi, and she shared some vocals that she recorded from like her property, or in the woods outside of her property. But anyways, she shared them to Johnny Two Bears, and these things were incredible. I
Mhm.
mean, that's exactly what I would picture. 9 foot linebacker Sasquatch sounding like. I mean, now are you getting these big roaring howls too, or whoops, or what?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
Ooh, man, you're gonna have to share one of those over to Angie so we can listen to it sometime. You
Oh,
know?
yeah. There's actually one that's on the oh shoot, it's on the original report I did for the BFRO. And,
Oh,
let me see if I can pull it up for you.
so now Ohio Grassman is that kind of like what they call it up there, the Ohio Grassman, or
That's a local name. Yeah.
that's a local name? Okay, and then obviously
That
the
seems kind of new, isn't it? Isn't that like a new name? I've just kind of heard of it the past few months.
Oh yeah. I think what year did that come out? I think oh geez. Um
was it
Early
the
2000s it came out,
oh
Mm.
and it was from a report up in Akron, and
Mm.
a journalist coined it Grassman.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought it sounded like it was a new name, and I
Yeah,
don't
kind
know.
of like Jerry Crew, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
so
Mhm.
okay, because I mean I'm a I don't know, I guess I'm a fan of like midnight brainless entertainment. So sometimes I end up watching what are those Appalachian like monster hunter
Mountain
guys.
monsters, or
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so I think they talked about Ohio Grassman and the Midnight Howler and
Right.
the Kentucky Tickler. I mean, I don't know.
Kentucky
Oh,
I
Tickler?
mean, they had names for everything.
What the heck is that?
I don't know. It comes by and tickles your side
I
stretch.
don't want to know.
It tickles your feet at night. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, but I thought maybe I heard like the Ohio Grassman from there.
Wow.
I don't know. So, okay. So, but and then obviously down in Marie's area, they got the swamp ape, skunk ape, and
Mhm.
right not so. Um, So, Angie, any other questions?
I do. B, on your Hocking Hills Bigfoot Conference, it's a fundraiser to send kids to camp, correct?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Any idea about how many kids you've been able to send to camp?
I tried to do the math, and we have helped contribute to over 700 children.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's great.
This
Kudos
conference has
to both.
raised over $30,000 for that.
Ah,
Wow.
that's unbelievable.
They do such good work for those kids.
Now, do you get to go and talk to the kids and show them your Bigfoot casts?
They never asked, but I
Oh,
would.
They don't need to be scared.
no, I said they. That's 699 ex campers. No, I mean, I think it would be kind of cool for you to be able to share that. It kind of opens their minds up to the possibilities of what's you know what's in the world.
Yeah. A lot of parents wouldn't want that probably. My sister
Yeah, you can
kills
make it
me.
fun. You make it fun in games. I mean,
These kids would be going home crying to their
Yeah.
parents.
My sister kills me for what I tell my nieces and nephews.
Well, I know I talk to them all the time, and back then the educator, she wanted to make a program for the kids and call it "Put Your Best Bigfoot Forward."
Oh,
there
I
you
love
go.
that.
So they might do some Bigfoot related activities. And I'm one of the things I hit on with my book was trying to incorporate aspects of STEM for these kids, like the
Nice.
whole measurements of track lines, judging distances, without using a rangefinder.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, components of weather, in addition to, your trees and your soils, and different, types of rocks. And also, just some good critical thinking skills. So the camp's fantastic. The
Oh,
camp
that's
is
nice.
absolutely fantastic.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I also, last year, hosted the very first Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival in downtown Logan, and we had almost 12,000 people show up.
Wow.
It was nuts, but it was super great too because it was an opportunity to help the whole region.
Yeah.
So the entire community got involved and backed the event. And we're also able to, we had parks come down. We had the National Park Service come down. They helped, with some activities and programs I had put on. And so it was a really, really good opportunity to promote, the outdoors and conservation efforts. Bigfoot needs a home.
That's right.
That is correct.
That's true. That's true. Otherwise, it's like you were talking about Ohio's history. All the timber cut down and whatnot. All the animals lose habitat. So, good point.
Yeah. I'm just a tree hugger.
I'm really worried about the Okefenokee Swamp. They're trying to do mining down there, titanium mining now.
Oh God.
Really?
There's a big, push now. Everybody's, saying contact Governor Kemp, stop the mining of the Okefenokee. I mean, it would just be detrimental down there.
Wow.
Isn't that one of the biggest lakes you have in Florida?
Or swamps.
No, one of the biggest swamps. It is the biggest swamp in Georgia, and probably in the southeast.
Yeah.
I don't know, not the Everglades. I guess
You're thinking Lake Okeechobee in Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would do some damage to that area.
So, B, what do you think about the? This may be a touchy subject, but every time I talk to somebody in Ohio, I always have to ask them about the train wreck and how you think that's going to impact Bigfoots in your area or in Ohio.
Oh, I think he's either gonna go to Pennsylvania or come down to the Hocking Hills because we're fun.
Fun.
Okay.
Mhm.
But in all honesty, I think that that's gonna severely impact the natural resources up there because there is
Absolutely.
not much up there. If I'm not mistaken, that is just north of Youngstown, which is one of the larger towns. But the just and I actually ran into somebody who worked with the EPA
Mhm.
and asked them about their water quality
Right.
down in Cincinnati, and they said they hadn't had anything yet. But I would be not. I'm not looking forward to seeing how that impacts. Because the aquifer. Wow, that's a lot of water that supplies a lot of
Yeah.
people and a
Yeah.
lot
Mhm.
of habitat.
Yeah.
So,
It's really sad.
Yeah. The Bigfoot mapping project, the guy who does that, his name's Scott, he's already mapped out the water flow.
Oh
So
wow.
the direction and where that toxic water is going to impact all
Hmm.
the areas. It's going to be Kentucky. It's going to hit all the way down the Mississippi, and then eventually it's going to dump in the Gulf of Mexico.
it
Not
that
good.
it,
Wow.
yeah, it's all bad.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But since it happened in Ohio, I was just curious. You know,
Well,
what do you
we
think?
have our own special train wrecks in Ohio. So
Wow.
Mm.
Mm.
that one was a doozy though.
Ah, sad.
Yeah. No.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
horrible. It makes me sick. Just
Yeah.
thinking.
And hopefully, the government, obviously the railroad company, they do things right and get things cleaned up there as best as possible. Just for the human um population, but
Element, yeah. Mhm.
and the wildlife as well, because that's going to impact their
Hmm.
children and their children's children.
Oh
For,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
and as far as the Sasquatches go, I mean, you run from Portage County. I mean, that entire corridor where the Ohio River is. I mean, that is prime Squatch country,
wow.
Mm.
and uh, I mean, from Steubenville clear down to Wheeling, Marietta, and then yeah, I mean that that area is good for reports. So I mean, it's gonna it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as
Right,
far as the investigations go. But
right,
it's gonna be a while. But wow,
Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on again,
right.
and you can kind of give us an update of what's going on up there, any
The
kind of.
impact, if
Yeah,
you're not
exactly.
able
To
to, if
hear.
there's no sign of them anymore or howls or whatever, I would be interested to know that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and then Marie, maybe you might see some down in the Everglades with like Ohio
Mhm.
State Buckeye hats on or T-shirt, and you know where they came from.
right?
No, no.
Yeah,
I
all of a
mean,
sudden we're gonna have these big 9 foot monsters running around Florida. Hey, come on down. You're welcome here.
it's
I'll take you.
it's
From
swampy.
Ohio.
It's swamp.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, B.
OH.
Yeah, man, really, thank you for coming on, and obviously giving us your history of getting into the subject, and then like your amazing finds, and then the story of being able to take your tracks to a Bigfoot conference and have them actually studied and whatnot by like the experts and whatnot. That it's kind of really neat to hear something like that. So and then because shoot, this weekend, Marie, you got your skunk ape expo going on too.
Yeah, my
So
Everglades Skunk Ape
ev-
meeting down the
yeah,
Everglades with David Shealy. So,
man.
mhm.
So no,
Sounds
thank you,
fun.
thank you both, ladies, for being on this evening. And Angie, do we have anything else?
Not that I can think of. I
Oh,
just appreciate the ladies for coming on with us tonight.
yeah, yeah. So
It's been a great show.
Thank you. It
yeah,
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet you, B.
Oh, likewise, Marie. Definitely. I found you on Facebook, so
Yeah.
hi, friend.
Yes. I saw that.
So fantastic. Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about the southern half of the United States. It's fantastic. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
So hang up before we leave, Marie. You kind of got a cool little shout out here this past week
Oh yeah.
for being remembered as the lady that wore the 90-pound rucksack, right?
Yeah. Jeff Freeman did a podcast with Russell Accord from Expedition Bigfoot.
Uh-huh.
Because he met him out in Vernal, Utah at Phenomicon, and I was there. And so I saw something that Jeff had posted, like he was in Florida. And I said, hey, you want to go out with us? We're going out this weekend, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed his picture. He had a picture of himself with Russell. And I'm like, oh my God, that's from Phenomicon, from Vernal. Because I recognize everything.
Mhm.
And so I sent him my pictures, and one of my pictures I sent him was me carrying Russell Accord's 92-pound backpack, the heavy one that he wears on the show.
Mhm.
And so I volunteered to carry it, and so I about died. I didn't want anybody. I was petrified of falling. And so I had to change the way I walked. Like I had to walk more with my feet spread out and kind of hunched over in order to be able to support the 92 pounds. So anyway, I sent Jeff that picture. So when he was talking to Russell, he was talking to Russell about me. And he's like, yeah, I'm going out this weekend with this, woman in Florida. She's got a great research team. I can't wait, la, 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 la.
Mhm.
And he said, he told Russell, he says, yeah, she carried your backpack. And Russell smiled. And then Russell talked about me, about how I carried the backpack, la, 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 and how I was a badass and good to hang out with me. And she's so sweet and she weighs as much as a pack of Skittles. I mean, it was hilarious. And I was like, oh my God, they are talking about me in
Oh,
this
man.
podcast. And Russell's saying all these wonderful things about me. I love that guy. It was a great shout out. I was like totally amazed by it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Marie. And you know
Right.
what? From now on, we're going to call you Skittles. So,
Skittles, yes.
yeah.
Skittles.
And
You
B,
done,
thank
you
you
messed up
so
now,
much.
Marie.
Yeah, and B, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks, you guys.
All righty.
Right.
So I think that pretty much wraps things up. So this is our final episode for the SEB presents Women in the Field. And
Mhm.
Angie, we've already got these shows that will come out on YouTube and then onto the Facebook page every Friday at noon for this entire month.
Mhm.
So, and big shout out to Angie, Swamp Diva 1.
Yay.
That's right.
Hopefully number 2 over
Yeah,
here.
We got Barb. Barb.
yeah,
And
Yeah, Barb would be here with us tonight, but her husband had surgery
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
yesterday. So
That's
other than
yeah.
that, Barb would have been here. She's joined us for every podcast.
Yeah.
But she couldn't make it tonight, but
Yep.
she'll be back
I'll
next
see
time.
I'll see you ladies in Ocala.
That's right.
Oh
Next week.
man, you guys are doing a festival.
Yeah, the
See?
Great Florida Bigfoot Conference.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard
All
really
righty.
good things about it.
Oh, it's a great
Mhm.
conference. It's a really good conference.
All right. Well, thank
It'll
you
be my
everyone
first
for
one.
joining us. Angie, anything else before we wrap up?
That's all.
All righty. Well, thank you, ladies, and love to have you guys back on again in the future. Kind of like share some news stories and new findings with us, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Sounds
righty.
great.
All righty.
Good
Thank
luck,
y'all.
guys.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.